So welcome back to another video on the channel, guys. Coming up today, we got our week 25 championship score predictions, but not everyone is in action in the championship this weekend, as we also have the FA Cup going on this weekend as well. So this video will be split into two parts. The first half of the video will be going over my championship predictions for this week, and in the second half of the video I'll be going over my FA Cup score predictions. So as always, all this week's games will be in the description down below so that you guys can easily go ahead and make your score predictions, and if you do manage to get any of them correct, your comment will be included at the start of the next video. But before we do get into any score predictions, we need to have a bit of a discussion about what went on midweek in the championship. As you can see on screen now, guys, that is how the championship table is currently lining up, and as you can see, Leeds United have gone back to the top after a win against Swansea City, and my team Preston coming out of nowhere to beat Norwich by 3-1. Also at the bottom of the table, we've seen Reading climbing out of the relegation zone. That's looking very tight at this point in time, so do let me know in the comments down below, what did you make of your team's performance in midweek. And just before we do get into any predictions, I will include your guys' comments on screen now, so if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then I will include your comment on screen now. And I had a pretty good one for score predictions. I managed to get 3 of mine correct. I managed to get the Bristol, City, Millwall and Leeds games all predicted correctly this week, so that's not too bad going from me. But without further ado, let's hop into this weekend's fixtures. So we'll start out with the championship and then move over into the FA Cup. So as the early kickoff on Saturday, we see Rotherham going up against Sheff Wednesday, with the away side unbeaten in the last 4 championship matches. They've kept 4 consecutive clean sheets in that time as well. However, scoring goals has been a little bit of an issue for them. They've only scored 2 goals in their last 5 matches, and Rotherham do tend to make themselves pretty tough to break down at home. Rotherham in their last game in the championship, quite a dramatic one actually. They found themselves 2 goals down fairly early on away at Hull City, but with a bit of fortune in the 2 goals they scored, they managed to bring it back to 2-2, and that was how that game did finish in the end. Rotherham at the moment have the problem that Reading have seemingly picked up in the championship. They won in midweek, and that has meant that Rotherham have slipped back down into the relegation zone. Rotherham lately have been drawing a lot of games in the championship. They tend to create quite a few chances per game. It's just at times they can be a little bit wasteful for them. I don't see all too many goals being scored in this one. I think it's going to be quite fine margins, but I am just going to back Rotherham for a 1-0 home victory. That one could go either way. It wouldn't surprise me if this one was to finish as another goalless draw, but I will just edge Rotherham for this one as they need the points a little bit more. FIFA's going to say it'll be 1-0 Wednesday. And then we got Aston Villa going up against West Brom in what could be another very tasty encounter this weekend in the championship. Now, Aston Villa lately have been a really peculiar side in the championship. In midweek, they lost 1-0 away at Brentford thanks to a last-minute Neil Maupay goal, and it was another really lacklustre performance from this Villa side. Even the 3-3 draw they had against Sheff Utd, it was sort of papering over the cracks from what was a very poor performance for 80 minutes of that game. Going up against West Brom does pose an interesting one though. Obviously, the big news coming from West Brom lately has been that Dwight Gale will be now serving a 2-match suspension after his dive against Nottingham Forest, which of course won West Brom a penalty for them to go on and draw that game 2-2. That's to be a massive blow for West Brom in this one, and West Brom can struggle if a team comes up against them and presses them hard off the ball and has a real intensity about them. But Aston Villa at the moment, I just don't see that from them. Their midfield's been very lethargic so far this season. McGinn wasn't brilliant in midweek. Hourihane so far this season, in the last few weeks, he's been looking like a passenger for them, and defensively they've not been looking very good either. Courtney House, I know Villa fans haven't been impressed by so far, but I think that West Brom could edge this one. I'm going to back West Brom for a 3-2 away victory. I could see quite a few goals being scored in that one, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 1-0 Villa. And then we got Bolton going up against Norwich City. Now, both these sides were involved in very dramatic games in midweek, with Bolton picking up all 3 points away at St Andrews with a 1-0 away victory against Birmingham. I didn't see that one coming. In my last video, I said I'm not sure where I see Bolton picking up their next points from, but to my surprise, they managed to go away and defy the odds in that one. Going up against the Norwich side, who will be hoping to bounce back from a pretty disappointing display away at Deepdale, where they were defeated by 3-1. The first half performance from this Norwich side wasn't brilliant in that game. There was no real intensity to their play. The players were looking quite tired and ropey, so it'll be interesting to see if Daniel Farke does make any changes for this one. In midfield especially, I think, is where a change could be made. They were playing with Tete and Tribal as a midfield pair at Deepdale, and those two weren't really clicking with each other. Although it does have to be said that Norwich did come to life in the second half at Deepdale, where they were creating a lot of chances, and if it wasn't for some fantastic saves from Declan Rudd, then they could have got back into the game. Bolton have got to look to sit in a deep block against this Norwich side, look to limit them as much as possible, and look to counter them with balls coming into the box. And as Norwich have struggled so far this season with defending some set pieces, Bolton could get a bit of joy out of this Norwich side. But for a prediction, I I'm going to fancy Norwich to bounce back with a 2-1 away victory, but with how Bolton did last week, who knows what could happen. I'll say 2-1 Norwich. FIFA's going to say 2-0 Norwich. It's important they do bounce back, though. And then we see Ipswich going up against Stoke. Now, Ipswich's last outing in the Championship, a 1-1 draw with Derby County. I actually thought there was a lot of positives from that performance from Ipswich, and on the whole so far this season, under Lambert at home, they've actually made themselves a pretty decent side to break down. There's a lot more energy in that performance they had against Derby. Obviously, they did concede fairly early, a former player, Tom Lawrence, sticking it into the back of the net, but they got back into the game. Colin Corner with a fantastic run, slipped in Nolan, and a fantastic low-driven shot into the bottom corner managed to get Ipswich a point from that game, and really they could have gone on to get all three with some of the other chances they have been creating. Obviously, with Freddie Sears out for the rest of the season, that is going to be a blow for Ipswich. They are 10 points adrift of safety now. But talking about Stoke City, a really weird team at the moment. Their midweek performance against Wigan Athletic, a 0-0 draw. It wasn't, I don't think, as bad as we've seen Stoke so far this season. They actually created quite a few chances and got into some decent scoring opportunities, but just couldn't take them when they did fall around. For this one, I don't think there's going to be all too much in it between the two sides. It's a fantastic chance for Ipswich to pick up all 3 points against the Stoke squad, who do tend to go missing in some of the more intense physical games so far this season, but I don't think there's going to be all too much to separate these two. I'll back this one to finish as a 1-1 draw, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Ipswich. And then we got my team Preston going up against Nottingham Forest. Now, Forest were involved in a very dramatic game in midweek, a 2-2 draw with West Brom, with quite a controversial decision late on, with Dwight Gale going down for a penalty and then West Brom converting that. In the end, Forest were denied all 3 points. Obviously, since then, Dwight Gale has been banned for the next 2 matches for a dive. I think that was always going to be the case, really, and Forest did get unlucky with that decision. A couple of decisions so far this season Forest have been on the receiving end of, a couple of dodgy ones so far, but going away to Preston, it shouldn't be an easy game for them. So far, I'm absolutely buzzing with the way we're playing at the moment. The first half performance against Norwich in midweek was probably the best I've seen us play all season so far. We were absolutely ruthless in that first half. Our intensity was there, our drive going forward. Alan Brown and Tom Barkhuizen effortlessly linking up with each other. But 2 unsung heroes for Preston lately have been our fullbacks. Darnell Fisher has come right back into form, and Andy Hughes as well has also been excellent. Declan Rudd also has been fantastic for us lately. He popped up with some massive saves in midweek against Norwich, saving a penalty against them. And I saw a stat the other day that if the Championship season had started in October, Preston would be sat 4th in the table. So we really have been on the rise lately in the Championship. The January transfer window and players coming back into our team has completely rejuvenated our season. There's no doubt a lot of talent in that Forest squad, and if they are all playing to their maximum potential, then it's going to be quite a tough game for us. But with the way we're playing at the moment, I think we can take on anyone in the Championship. I'm gonna back Preston for a 2-1 home victory, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Preston. I'm looking forward to it. And then we got Sheffield United going up against Reading. Now, Sheffield United were handed quite a boost with Norwich losing in midweek. That's meant that they have closed a little bit of ground on the top 2. And going up against Reading this weekend does pose an interesting threat. Reading have been able to climb out of the bottom 3. And I said it when Jose Gomez came into the job at Reading. Even when they weren't picking up the results when he instantly came in, you could already see there were things that were starting to fall in place with this Reading squad. The performances were starting to get better. And that was all accumulated with the fantastic 2-1 home victory against Blackburn Rovers. Nelson Oliveira scoring an absolute thumper of a winner for Reading. A fantastic effort, curling it into the bottom corner after a fantastic touch to just take it inside of the defender. I've got to be honest, I don't see too many goals being scored in this one, with Reading keeping a lot of their games in the Championship fairly tight lately, as they've gone on a decent unbeaten run lately in the Championship. Although maybe with them getting back into goal scoring form, scoring 2 past Blackburn, who knows what could happen for this one. Although Sheffield United at the moment going for the top 2, I don't think anything's going to slow them down at the moment. I'm going to back Sheffield United for a very slim 1-0 home victory. Ollie Norwood recently, oh my god, his deliveries from set pieces has been an absolute joy to watch. I feel like it's going to be something like that, an Ollie Norwood assist and a Billy Sharp goal, which may just edge this one for Sheffield United, although I'm not ruling out Reading either. I'll say 1-0 United, FIFA's going to say 1-0 Reading. And then for the last game going on in the Championship this weekend, we got a Sunday game going on between Blackburn Rovers and Middlesbrough. Now, Blackburn lately, their form has took a little bit of a nosedive in the Championship. They've lost their last 3 matches after they had a terrific month of February. Things have gone a little bit downhill for them recently, and a really bizarre game they had in midweek against Reading, where the team selection was a little bit questionable from Tony Mowbray. I wasn't really understanding his line of thinking for that one. Blackburn fans, let me know down below what was going on for that. He left Bradley Dack, Danny Graham and Harrison Reed on the bench for that one. Whether he was taking Reading a little bit lightly, I'm not so sure, but even so, Blackburn couldn't get anything from that game. They lost that one by 2-1. And Middlesbrough are a team who, if they want to, they can turn it on. Obviously, they have been a very sort of resilient outfit so far this season, not conceding many goals. The football's not been brilliant, but there have been flashes of brilliance from them. You know, players like Wing and Asombalonga at times have really excited me. Tavernier as well. I want to see a bit more attacking onus from this Borough side, but under Tony Pulis, I'm not sure if we're going to see this one in this game. Honestly, both sides are going to look to recover from their last outing in the Championship, and I'm going to say that this one will finish as a 1-1 draw, providing that Tony Mowbray does pick a full-strength Blackburn side. So there are the games going on in the Championship this weekend, so do let me know in the comments down below what you think is going to happen, but we will now move on into my FA Cup 5th round score predictions. So moving on into the FA Cup fixtures we got going on this weekend, starting out with a game tonight at Loftus Road between QPR and Watford. Now this one is an interesting game. QPR's form in the Championship lately has took an absolute nosedive. They've lost their last 5 matches and haven't been looking brilliant, although it was quite dramatic actually, their last one in the Championship, losing against Bristol City in the last minute thanks to a Jeju penalty, and I've seen a few QPR fans not happy with that penalty decision. QPR fans, let me know down below what you made of it. But in the FA Cup, it's been a different story for QPR lately. The performance they had against Portsmouth in a replay I thought was absolutely fantastic. They looked brilliant going forward and carved up a lot of chances. Going up against Watford is going to be a tough task though, with them currently sat 8th in the Premier League. I've watched Watford a bit so far this season, on the whole I've been quite impressed with them. At this stage in the FA Cup there are no longer replays, so this will be settled tonight, and I can see it going all the way, although I've just got a bit of an inclination about QPR and a bit of a cup run this year. I will just back QPR for a 2-1 home victory. I've got a bit of a gut feeling about them in this one, although Watford will obviously give them a good run for their money. I'll fancy an upset in that one. I'll say 2-1 QPR. FIFA said it'll be a 0-0. And then we've got Brighton going up against Derby County. Derby's last game in the Championship, quite a frustrating 1-1 draw against bottom of the league Ipswich Town. It's 2 points drop there from Derby's perspective. You know, they're wanting to make the top 6 this season, and having dropped out of that recently, surely their full attention should be now turning back towards the league. But maybe the FA Cup could be a decent distraction from them. They were able to beat Southampton on penalties in quite dramatic circumstances in the 3rd round on a replay. And going away to Brighton, I actually fancy Derby a little bit for this one. Brighton haven't been on the best run in the Premier League lately. I believe they're without a win now in their last 5 matches. Their last game being a very frustrating one against Burnley, where they lost that one by 3-1. I'm going to say that this one will finish as a 1-1 draw, but I'm going to back Derby to win it on penalties, whereas FIFA's going to say it'll be 2-0 Brighton. And then we've got AFC Wimbledon going up against Millwall. Now both these sides were involved in very dramatic games in the last round of the FA Cup, with AFC Wimbledon knocking out West Ham. Now, as much as that was an absolutely fantastic performance from the home side, I'm not going to lie, I would have loved to have seen a West Ham against Millwall derby in the 5th round of the FA Cup, but that's not going to be the case. In that game we saw Scott Wagstaff have an absolute masterclass for the home side, and they'll be hoping for more of the same in this one. Millwall, though, the same could be said for them. They've not had an easy round up to this point in the FA Cup. They were able to knock out Everton in very dramatic circumstances, with Wallace scoring a 94th minute winner for the home side in that one. And it's the magic of the FA Cup, you know. AFC Wimbledon currently sit bottom of League One, but that's irrelevant when it comes to cup competitions. It's going to be quite a physical battle for this one. Millwall aren't going to want to let their guard down defensively, and although Millwall do have options going forward, I'm actually fancying AFC Wimbledon for another upset in this one. I'm going to back the home side for a 2-1 victory in this one, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 to Wimbledon. And the game which I'm really looking forward to this weekend is Bristol City going up against Wolves. Now Bristol City, without a doubt, are the most informed side in the Championship currently. They've got the 2nd best defensive record in the Championship. They're not conceding a lot of goals at this point in time, and they're just grinding out the results. That was shown once more with the 2-1 home victory they had against QPR. Jeju scoring a last-minute penalty to go ahead and continue this unbeaten run they've been on lately. But going up against Wolves is not going to be an easy game. Now, I remember the last time these two sides met at Aston in the Championship. It was a phenomenal fixture between the two sides. There were 2 players sent off. It was all kicking off, and then Ryan Bennett for Wolves steps up with a last-minute winner in the 94th minute. I remember Nuno going absolutely crazy, and it was a fantastic game of football. I expect the same for this one. But with the other teams left in the FA Cup and where Wolves are in the Premier League at the moment, I've got to say they've got a fantastic chance of really doing some damage in this competition. Against Bristol City, it's not going to be easy. I'm going to say that this game will finish as a 2-2 draw, but then I will back Wolves to win this one on penalties. That one could go either way. Bristol City will put up a fight for this one, I'm in no doubt about that, but Wolves, they've got to be fancying their chances for the FA Cup this season. I'll say 2-2 with Wolves winning on penalties. FIFA's saying it'll be 1-1. And then for our last game to predict, featuring the Championship side in the FA Cup, see Swansea going up against Brentford. Now I'm expecting this one to be quite an open, engaging game of football. Both sides try to play football in the right way, and Brentford lately have been really impressive in the Championship. A fantastic win in midweek against Aston Villa, with Neil Maupay stepping up with a last-minute goal to go ahead and snatch the points in that one. A fantastic finish from him in that one as well. Both sides are going to look to dominate in midfield, and both teams are going to look to build up from the back. I think it's going to be a good game of football. Both teams are going to be creating chances. Swansea were involved in quite a dramatic game in midweek as well, a 2-1 away defeat against Leeds United. Ollie McBurney scoring quite a late penalty to try and salvage something from that game. There was quite a dramatic finish to it, but in the end Swansea couldn't get anything from it. But I fancy them to bounce back in this one. This one's on a knife edge really. I can see this one going either way, but I will just back Swansea for a 2-1 home victory. When they want to be, they can be very good at the Liberty Stadium. So I'll say 2-1 Swansea. Thief is going to say it'll be a 1-1 draw. So guys, there are all the fixtures going on this weekend in the Championship and in the FA Cup featuring a Championship club. I'll put on screen now what I think is going to happen in the other games in the FA Cup this weekend, so feel free to go ahead and predict those in the comments down below if you want. But guys, I will wrap it up for this video, so thank you so much for watching. If you have gone in to enjoy, make sure that you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.